Hello and welcome to Comics with Jose. My name is Jose. I love comics and I want to share them with you. Follow me on Twitter at artofjvelez or on Instagram at jvelez622 where I share some doodles that I work on and a little comic book story that I'm currently working on as well, free of charge. I do this for fun and I just enjoy talking and sharing comic books. Like, follow, and subscribe if you like the channel. We're going to go over comic book stories that I have. I own a lot of comic books over the years. We're going to use digital, however, because it's easier to share on digital on your computer screen or phone. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here. We're going to be looking at Captain America Annual number 8 from 1986 with one of my favorite covers. I believe this is the second time, Secret Wars being the first, where Wolverine and Captain America meet. I also want to tell you this is absolutely one of my favorite covers, and at the end I'm going to show you two renditions of this cover, one done by Jim Lee and one done by Art Adams, that I think are just as good. I bought this issue years ago on eBay. I think I paid less than $10 with shipping for it. This issue now is worth a ton of money, but yeah, so I bought it, and who knew? I just thought Mike Zeck, who by the way does the insides as well, just did this cover. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, you look at this and you want to buy it without even looking at the insides. So, um, if I would have seen this when it first came out in 86, let's see, 86, I would have been 12. So I was still living in Puerto Rico. We did not have comic book stores, and that week, my grandpa would go to the naval base to go look at comic books, and I never saw this. Otherwise, I definitely would have gotten it. So beautiful cover. So let's go to the inside. So we start off with a brawl, and these guys are fighting this guy right here because they think he's a mutant. And Wolverine's just smoking his cigar, drinking his beer, not really doing anything. Here are the credits of Mark Gruenwald, who is he wrote Captain America, I think, for 12 years. Mike Zeck is the penciler, and John Beatty is his inker. Mike Zeck is a very good penciler, an artist in his own right. So the fight continues. They're wrecking the bar, and Wolverine is just drinking his beer. So again, they think he's a mutant, so they're fighting him. And he says he wasn't a mutant, and he was just looking for directions, and everybody started fighting him. So the guy leaves. Wolverine pays for his beer, and he's gonna go find him because Wolverine does suspect that he perhaps might be a mutant, at least based on how strong he was during that fight. So Wolverine changes into his uniform and then kind of sneaks, and suddenly loses the guy, but then hears something. And he jumps into it, and he's being attacked by a robot. Wolverine hops into action, takes out his claws. The robot blasts him, and it hurts the guy, but actually does not kill him. Wolverine slashes the robot and keeps slashing, but the robot flies away and sees that someone was accompanying the robot. So, and here's a word called TESS. So, Wolverine goes to help this guy who is not doing very well, and the nearest hospital is 10 miles away. And Wolverine says if he runs a full sprint, he can have the guy there in under 40 minutes. So, he's gonna go help him. So, we get the title, TESS One, and there's a huge hole here. Something apparently caused a cave-in that Captain America is investigating this. So he's going to go down there and take a look. Mike Zeck does very good work. I think he is a very capable penciler. I like his pencils. I first encountered his work during Secret Wars. And although he didn't do, I think Bob Layton did a couple of the issues. Mike Zeck did most of the issues. And I believe he did a couple of the Captain America issues. And then he did that Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt. So, Captain America here, he smells a gas and he deducts that the hole was made by someone climbing out, not a cave-in. And there's a bunker, and then those are the men. So, sorry. In all my admiration of Mike Zeck, I really did not kind of tell you guys what's going on here. So he puts his shield to prevent the door from closing, and of course it didn't. He grabs those two men and takes them up, and he's gonna go back in, but they give him a mask this time so he can take a closer look here. Says that bomb shelters don't usually come equipped like this, so he definitely wants to know what's going on. And so he's going to use those rocks to hold doors and check for booby traps. So he thought the floor was solid, so he was wrong. And look, there's spikes. So something's definitely up down here. And he lands on his shield, and then uses his shield to go back, and then he gets up. So notices the bullet holes. So and now he's gotta run before those guns come out, which he unfortunately was not fast enough, so he uses his shield. His shield is unbreakable, but he had mentioned that he'll probably need a new paint job. So he's wondering what was in there that people are going to such lengths to safeguard it. And we see this big table here. He also notices these big footprints here. And so he comes back up, and they heard the gunfire. He says it was a death trap, and asked if anybody knew what this was before. It was a parking lot, and well, this man apparently did. And he says that it was a house right there, and that he worked for the government. So he tells the cops to seal anything, and he's gonna go continue to investigate. So elsewhere, this truck is driving, and his truck dies. Notices the back of the rig is open. Takes out a gun. But this person gets a drop on him. Calls himself the Overridden. Says he needs him to take him to where he's going. And there's that big robot emptying everything. And the reason the rig died is because the overrider was using a signal to prevent the truck from turning on, but he allows it to turn back on. So he wants him to take him to where he was going. He was going to that to a factory, and so he tells him that he needs to that if he listens, he will be okay. So the name of that company is Adametco. It's a metallurgy company, so they work with metal. So Wolverine arrives in the hospital, tells him that man needs help and to move. And Wolverine's gonna investigate, see if he can pick up the trail. So he goes back and sees that Adametco company there. Wolverine knows that it is the nation's leading manufacturer of adamantium, which is what his uh, bones are laced with, and Captain America's shield is laced with. It's a made-up metal, so it's not indestructible. So Captain America goes to his van, and he knew that the guns were from World War II, so he's gonna see if he can, through his contact, find out about that place. So the guy arrives at the company, and they said that he's late, but they let him in, and they don't kill him. They put him to sleep, and out goes TESS is the name of the robot, and the overrider. So I don't think they ever showed up again. And so they burst in and take out the workers. So they want these two to um, put the robot through an adamantium treatment. So off they go, and they start and put her I think it's a her. He keeps calling it her, so we'll just assume it's a her. So the driver wakes up and reports what happened to him, and this guy is gonna contact Captain America, and they contacted Captain America here, so now he's gonna go to Adametco to see what's up. So the robot is going through their adamantium process. Captain America shows up. They let him in because he's Captain America. Wolverine breaks in, and Wolverine and Cap meet. So during this time, the X-Men and Magneto were allies. So that's sort of what's happening. And of course, Magneto is a villain, or well, during this time, this was a face turn. So heel, face, heel, face. I just kind of flip flop. So he basically demands Wolverine to explain to himself, and Wolverine, of course, says he doesn't have time for this. So, and the adamantium claws strike the adamantium shield. So, and they start fighting. So, this is this issue, like I said, it's pretty cool. Just because you get, like I said, Wolverine and Captain America teaming up. Well, not teaming up at this minute, but we all know that this is going to eventually turn into a team up. The heroes always fight and then they go. So that's the robot Wolverine was looking for, and fights them. So Wolverine and Cap start fighting Tess. The guy here is trying to bring that robot under control, and then the security arrives and then tells Wolverine to take that guy, and he'll handle the robot. And so Wolverine goes to get the overrider. So he grabs the little saucer that he's going, but is able to shake him off. And so tells him, let's go. Everybody shoots, but nobody hits. So asks Cap who that was. He doesn't know. Asks Wolverine if he's okay. Wolverine's mad because he didn't get the guy and blames Cap. So Cap apologizes, extends his hand, helps Wolverine up. So they compare notes, and they'll meet at Richie's bar at 10 o'clock. So now we are in West Virginia 6 hours later, and we're in school, perhaps? Daycare? Man, I haven't read this in forever here, but he's here to see his son. I wonder if this is the... I haven't read this in forever, so I really don't remember. I wonder if this is that overrider. So I guess we'll find out here. So looks like his son has some kind of problems. Apparently his son's afraid of bombs, and his dad says he's going to get rid of them. And says that it's a nuclear psychosis. So, because his son's afraid. So yeah, this guy is the overrider. There's Tess. And I guess we now know that his plan is to get rid of the bombs. So Captain America finds out that the person who owned the house there was a Schumann, where that robot came from, and he was a government scientist during World War II. So he's searching through. So back then they had to use microfilm. Like people that don't have people that were born after the internet was available to everybody don't realize how hard it was to get information. So back then you had to really search. There was no Google. So we kind of get how this robot was created. This TESS. So these men met after the super soldier to create like this robot to instead of soldiers. And once Captain America's creator died, I believe they went all in on creating those that robot, but they decided it was no longer necessary, and without funds, he just didn't do it. So it looks like he built it on his own. And then elsewhere, Wolverine is also searching. He's looking for a mutant that can control machines using Cerebro. And so now we're in Nebraska. And I don't know what part of Nebraska that is, because Nebraska does not have mountains. So, yeah. That's alright. They didn't use reference. So he's cleaning, self-service, sees the robot, and then calls that network that has contact with Captain America to let him know. And so they're going into where there's some kind of nuclear command center. I don't think this is true, so I think they're kayfabing all this. And they're detected, and it doesn't matter. They break in. Causing a bunch of damage to the facility. He's going to override that room to make sure that those bombs can't be used, which isn't true. But hey, it's a comic book. They can always just move the bomb somewhere else or create a thing, so it's alright. Like I always say, it's comic books, let's not overthink things. So Captain America and Wolverine both arrive there. They start fighting it. And so it's just Captain America, Wolverine, and that robot. Well, and the Overrider, but so off they go. It's kind of cool to just sometimes just look at the art, because you don't need to read all these words. You can sort of, the words are there, but they're not needed. And I think that's something that we've discovered now, is that you don't need all these words all the time. You need some of the words to slow you down. Otherwise, you would read these or look at the pictures in probably a few minutes. So you still need words, but not everything needs a word. And actions really don't need it, because you can follow the action without having to read all this. But it's good. So they finally get the robot down, and they're gonna go for the joints. But Wolverine's like, I'm gonna go for the throat. It's a robot. You don't need to go for a throat. That's so they're Captain America uses his shield kind of as a hammer, because Wolverine still feels pain, but he heals. So they sever the head. So Wolverine's hurt, but like I said, he's got a healing factor. So now they're gonna go get the Overrider, and so he's going to launch America's entire nuclear arsenal. He's gonna bury them in the seafloor without detonating them. And so it's a good idea. It says if anybody tries to stop him, he will detonate one, killing everybody inside. So he says if he doesn't do this, the human race will cease to exist. Now, this was a very popular idea back then. Everybody always thinks that we were going to nuke each other, but if I've learned anything from, all this, is I don't think we're going to use nuclear weapons anymore. I don't think the Earth could survive a nuclear war, and I think these countries know that, so I don't think that will happen. So Captain America throws his shield, knocks him out, tells Wolverine to catch him. He takes out his claws, and Wolverine, he knows how dangerous this Overrider would be, and he thinks, it would be better if he wasn't around. And Wolverine decides not to catch him, but he's alive, just hurt. And of course, Captain America admonishes him. So I like it here. The Avengers would never have you, and of course, we all know Wolverine eventually joins the Avengers during Brian Bendis' run. So it's kind of that whole, we're better than you sort of thing. And then he ends in the hospital with that Bob Frank. So, the end. So, before we sign off, I want to show you the Jim Lee cover rendition for Annual 8, which is pretty cool. You can find these on Google Images. So, and then the Art Adams version. Jim Lee has a higher resolution, which is why you can get it a little bit bigger. I found a really nice one, but it was in color. But because the Jim Lee was in black and white, I just thought it was really cool. So anyway, so the Jim Lee and the Art Adams one. So anyway, hope you liked it. Thanks so much for listening. Like and subscribe.